100% AI generation is when you don't put in anything, like any prompt, any original thought. You're essentially not even looking at it. You're just taking what the journalist said, and AI is crafting and creating an answer, and then it's sending it to the journalist, oftentimes without the source ever even looking at it.
Hey, I'm Guy Powell, and welcome to the next episode of the Backstory on Marketing and AI. And if you haven't already done so, please visit ProRelevant.com and sign up for all of these episodes and podcasts. And as you know, I am the author of the upcoming book, available on June 16th, 2026. Coming out, get ready, get your money ready, see it on Amazon, download it to your Kindle or buy the paperback. The book is called The AI Marketing Machine, and it is based on all of these interviews that I've done on the backstory of AI and marketing, and I've done over 100 of them already. And of course, you can find out even more information on that at marketingmachine.prorelevant.com. Today, I'm interviewing Brett Farmelo of Featured.com. And let me tell you a little bit about Brett. He is as I mentioned, the founder and CEO of Featured, and recently led the acquisition and relaunch of HARO, which is Help a Reporter Out. And I've heard of HARO over the last couple of years, and it is really a great thing. So, congratulations on doing that, Brett. So good to have you. Welcome.
Before we go any further, a quick pause. This is important. Your sales force is one of the most expensive investments in your company. The real question isn't who's likely to buy someday, it's who should be called right now to create the most value. Traditional propensity models tell you who might convert. Our prescriptive modeling, called COPA, tells you who will convert because you called them. If you manage a large sales organization and want higher conversion, bigger deals, and better use of every rep hour, let's talk. If you want your sales team focused on the calls that matter most, visit prescriptivemodeling.prorelevant.com and set up a short strategy session.
Yeah, thanks, and thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So, what is your backstory on AI and marketing? How did you get involved in all of this really cool stuff?
So I ran a marketing agency for 10 years and had no intention of ever launching a digital marketing company until I got my website to rank on page one of Google for the term digital marketing company. And so then I said, hey, I actually have to live up to the search ranking and hire people and get a company together. And did that for a while until we sold it at the end of 2021 to focus full time on Featured.com. And Featured.com is a co-pilot for PR. We essentially aggregate media opportunities into one chat interface and have some workflows that allow you to never miss a media opportunity. So we own and operate HARO, and we own and operate another brand called Connectively. And together we help power a lot of what happens in PR.
Yeah, fantastic. So how is Featured positioning itself to be the AI platform for PR and communications professionals?
So we've ran Featured for the last 4 years, essentially as a journalist request platform. And what that means is we, every 6 seconds, connect a subject matter expert with a publisher so that they can create great content together. So we recently took that whole Featured experience and we put it into a revived brand called Connectively. And that clears the path for us at Featured to be the co-pilot for PR. And essentially, what that's doing, it's taking all the journalist requests that are happening on Help a Reporter Out. It's taking all the publisher requests on Connectively, as well as every podcast, every byline article, every speaking engagement, every award submission, and aggregating that all into one interface so that you could just show up and prompt it just like you would ChatGPT and get back some relevant opportunities that you can act on to build your visibility.
Wow, and certainly in PR, it's all about visibility. So now there's a tool called Pangram. Tell us about that, and tell us how that fits in with the with Harrow's partnership and some of the other things you're doing with AI in the PR industry.
Sure. So Help Reporter Out has been around since 2008, and it's a three times a day email newsletter that goes out with journalist requests. And if you have a response that will be helpful for the journalists, you can send an email to them directly. And it's a really, really simple format. The reason why HARO ended up in our hands is because it started to suffer quality and trust issues because there was nothing in the middle that helped maintain that quality and trust to ensure authentic connections with journalists and sources. And so one of the first things that we did when acquiring it was making sure that we combated the AI spam that was happening on the platform. For that, we turned to Pangram, which is an AI detection tool, and we started to run every pitch through AI detection and essentially started to flag ones that were 100% AI generated and had our team internally start to look at some of these users that were using 100% AI generation. We also gave journalists the option to opt out of 100% AI generated pitches. And Pangram's an important partner for us to maintain that quality and trust behind HARO.
Yeah, now I got to push back there a little bit. So, what is wrong with 100% generated AI pitch? I mean, certainly if it's some kind of a spam thing, but if here I am, if I'm a PR person and I want to improve how the release is written and the articles may be, supported with what I've got, what's actually wrong with 100% AI generated piece?
Yeah, so to clarify, the 100% AI generation is when you don't put in anything, like any prompt, any original thought. You're essentially not even looking at it. You're just taking what the journalist said, and AI is crafting and creating an answer, and then it's sending it to the journalist, oftentimes without the source ever even looking at it. And so a lot of people are trying to automate their presence on Help Reporter Out and Connectively, where they're like, hey, it's free PR. Let's just let this baby cook. And that's not going to get success. So, in terms of what that is, it's not, it's a signal for us to essentially say and deliver that detection score to a journalist to make them ultimately decide what they want to do. But we feel like it's one thing that journalists have requested from us to be able to say, hey, is this AI generated? Is this not? It's getting so good that I can't often tell the difference from it. And journalists at the end of the day, the job to be done is getting connected with the right source for a story. And so oftentimes journalists tell us sometimes, like, I don't even care if it's AI generated. I just want to get connected with the right source. And if AI matched me with this source, now my job is to get on a phone call, on an interview, get the real details out. And so in that sense, it's a very good value add for a lot more sources to get featured within the media.
Okay, yeah, so that makes a lot of sense. So just to make sure I understand, so a reporter would say something on the order of, "Hey, I want to do a story on financial professionals in the blah 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 industry," and that then goes out, and then the AIs are coming back and say, "Hey, I can do something on that," and it's that right there that doesn't have any human, I don't know, human in the middle, I guess. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like we'll see stuff that to piggyback off your example, even though I'm not a financial professional, I do have expertise in, XYZ, and I'd be happy to talk to you about this. And so like that's what the journalist inbox is already a very crazy place. And so help a reporter out lives to help reporters out. And one of the things that they need help with is making sure that they get relevant queries back from their submission.
Yeah, that's just such a fascinating situation, and you're so right. I could imagine that the journalists' inboxes are they're already stuffed, and then here they are trying to get a bunch more bunch more email responses out of it. So what are you doing? So are you grading the level of AI content? So you're saying, hey, this one's 100% generated response versus this one's like 50% or 10%. Is there a gradation in there?
Yeah, so that's all where we look to Pangram as our AI detection partner to be able to determine that. So that's all on them to keep up with the latest model announcements, and they usually get an early look at some of that. So that's something that's it's a tough space, in terms of these models are just getting better and better. And ultimately, I feel like consumer behavior, both on the mainly on the journalist side, it's just a slow adoption curve in terms of saying, "Oh, okay, like I'm comfortable with this." And that comfort level is slow to come, especially in media, especially in newsrooms that traditionally have prided themselves on 100% human written words. So it's a delicate situation that we're right in the middle of.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I can imagine you've blocked a bunch of accounts and banned them from HARO. How did that work, and what kind of issues did you run into as you were trying to ban those accounts?
Yeah, so I think that the acronym HARO stands for a lot of actions that we take within the platform. So HARO stands for Help a Reporter Out, but for me personally, it's be helpful, be authentic, be relevant, and be on time. And so a lot of the issues that we see are when a journalist will mark a response as unhelpful. Like this person essentially spammed my inbox. And so that flags our internal team to take a look at what was sent. Are any actions, needed on this account? Do we issue a warning? Is this really malicious and we just ban them
Hmm.
altogether? So there's a lot of different stuff that we'll take a look at internally. Authentic is, not using 100% AI to just fully automate your presence on our platforms. Being relevant, journalists are very particular about the instructions that they put out there. So if you're not following those instructions, usually that's like, someone that doesn't really know how to do PR. And usually that's when we'll come in to better educate the user to say, hey, when the journalist says this, don't take that, even though you want to get featured in Forbes, like this isn't the route, so that type of thing. So a lot of it is making sure that there's good credibility on the source side, but also on the journalist side as well. We have to look at, is this journalist actually contributing to this publication? What kind of articles have they written in the past? Have they just emerged and started to say that they write for Forbes, or do they really write for Forbes? So there's a lot of quality and control that we've got to do on both ends.
Quick pause. This is important for any marketing leader. Marketing must continuously prove its value or the budgets dry up. Marketing mix models provide that proof in a way finance and leadership can believe. And we at ProRelevant help teams answer critical questions. Which campaigns actually worked? Which channels really moved the needle? And where should the next dollar go? With over 20 years of experience across complex marketing environments, we know how to deliver clarity, not guesswork. To learn more, go to mmm.prorelevant.com and set up a short strategy session. And now, back to the podcast.
Yeah, and I could see that as being really critical because that is then what, people want to for their brand's sake, but also personally, they want to do the best quality that they can. I know that I was at I go to the PRSA, the PR Society of America, I think it is,
Yep.
meetings here in Atlanta, and I remember though I was at one and there was a journalist as part of the panel, and she says, "I will not accept an AI written pitch." And then on the other hand, she says, "However, I use AI to write my articles." And so everybody had to laugh because, on the one hand, I agree. You know, I mean, even though the pitch might be written with AI, you do want to have that kind of personal feel or the human in the middle at least to improve it. But I thought it was kind of interesting that, here she is. I'm not going to take any AI written pitches yet. I'm using AI to write all my articles.
There's some strong feelings, and I think where AI has a tremendous potential, and where we're seeing users get a good advantage is on the matching. It's on the matching and making sure that you're finding stuff that's relevant. Because at the end of the day, like, who wants to get 3 emails a day with a bunch of irrelevant, journalist requests? Like, some PR people enjoy that because they're always looking and to see, like, okay, is there an angle here? Or what journalist is writing about this and that. But for your average like small business owner that just needs a little press, like, they only notify me when there is something truly relevant. And AI is a great filter to essentially say, okay, let me analyze the latest HARO edition. Let me find something that is a good opportunity for you, and then let me notify you when that action needs to be taken.
Yeah, and it's funny. I was talking to a friend of mine, and we were talking about AI and not AI pitches, but just generally writing AI emails or AI, small pieces of content or posts. And one thing we were talking about is, well, why don't we take the AI written post and just make a couple of minor grammatical errors in it, add a comma here or there, or make a misspelling here or there, and then make it look like, that, hey, there was a human in the middle here, even though the actual human content was way before that. I mean, the content may have been 100% written by AI, but the data underlying the content was original. And wondering, would that be caught, or how would the reporters see that? Would that be able to fool things, or?
You know, where I always direct people is just over to pangram.com. They've got a free AI detection. So the best way to do it would be to copy paste and put it in there and see what comes back.
Yeah, no, I'll have to try that. That's interesting because I'll have to see if my errors, would just get in there, and whether it would actually then, lower the level of AI content, even though it's really, pretty high. I know, for my book, which I talked about, the AI marketing machine. And this is a blatant plug, but because it is an AI topic, I did use AI to write quite a bit of it. However, one of the things that's really critical, and whether it's analytic AI or Gen AI, is what is the input that's being used as part of the output. And and there, it's pretty critical to me that you have really good data underlying it, so that even though you're having AI interpret it and put it into a structure and what have you, I think that the having the underlying data and infrastructure and framework that goes with it is pretty important. And I can see that as well. Even when you're writing a pitch, that you do have some really good underlying capabilities under the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. Like one of the features that we developed with Connectively is a Connectively AI. And so what that does is it allows you to create a personalized knowledge base, upload a bunch of content, save your last pitches, basically look at the stuff that you're inclined to respond to, and then taking those experiences that you've shared and your talking points and then giving you a starting point for your draft. Because the problems that people have in responding to journalist requests is A, finding the opportunities, and then B, when you have a blank page staring at you, what do you say, and how does this journalist actually want to be responded to and pitched? And so that's a feature that I think is a good application for what you're saying in terms of a good high quality input to give you a starting point from an output perspective, not fully automating it, but keeping that human in the loop so that you're able to give that journalist what they're looking for.
Yeah, it would seem like too that you'd also want to have, what, and I don't know if this is in there, but it would seem like you would want to also have what the journalist has responded to and what kind of articles and what their personalities are that they clearly have, and then that would then help you to pitch a little bit better to, kind of sway what you're saying that is very, specific to that journalist.
Yeah, that's the exciting part about where we're at. Like, we're talking about some of the complexities of satisfying the journalists and then allowing the source to be able to show up and represent themselves. That's our job. Is like, how do we essentially help this source show up with the best version of themselves? And how do we create a pleasant experience for the journalist? And oftentimes that's learning about the journalist's preferences and figuring out, do they prefer a long pitch? Do they prefer a short pitch? What are their exact instructions that they've already given us? And then using that as a way to help craft and refine what a person's knowledgeable about so that connection can happen.
Yeah, yeah, makes a lot of sense. Well, that's fantastic. So now you actually went out. So HARO existed, and then you went out and acquired it, and then now you've been reviving it, and sounds like it's definitely on a very positive path. So what led you to acquire and now to revive HARO?
So HARO was founded in 2008. It was acquired in 2010. It was ran until April of 24 when it was rebranded and moved into a platform called Connectively. And then Connectively was discontinued at the end of 2024, which is when we reached out to acquire the assets. And so HARO is just if you're in public relations, if you're in journalism, HARO is a brand you've probably heard of. You might have had some experience, early in your career, and you have some sort of nostalgia associated with Help a Reporter Out. So we felt like it was a brand that was worth reviving. And when we brought it back, it was like a light switch. It was like instantly people got the emails in their inbox. We heard about how connections were happening, and it was a very great way to bring something back that had left a gap within PR workflows.
Yeah. So let me make sure I understand. So HARO was founded, then it switched over to Connectively, and then what you did is you bought the assets of both of them, and now you've come back with the brand HARO, and that's the one that's now live, and Connectively is also live as well.
Yeah, as of this week, we took the entire featured.com experience and we put it into Connectively. So now we have revived two defunct PR brands, brought them both back to market, and Featured sits on top as the co-pilot for public relations.
Hmm, fantastic. So, yeah, that's great. So, I'd love to be able to go on even further. This is quite interesting, but I did have one last question for you, and that is, what advice would you give an up and coming new marketer, and maybe in this particular case, what advice would you give an up and coming new PR person just getting into the business?
So how I kicked off this episode was AI is the new front page. And if you think back to this is a tremendous opportunity for a new marketer, a new public relations professional to experiment with how do you get AI visibility. This is like if you rewind back to when the internet first started and the first years of search engine optimization, that's the time that we're living in right now. Because the goal back then was to get on the front page of Google, and now the goal is to get on the front page of ChatGPT or Claude. And so there's a bunch, and AI is just adopting evolving so rapidly that the tactics that you could try to get AI visibility might work this month, and then the next model release comes out and you're trying something new. But that's the advice that I would give is take your own brand, take a brand that one of the clients that you've got or whatever it is, and experiment. Like send out a press release on PR Newswire or which is like the top, distribution service, or like look at up and coming couple $100 press release and see what helps get cited in LLMs. See what's cited in LLMs now and reach out to those editors and update that content and see if that starts to gravitate. Get earned media through stuff like HARO and Connectively. There's a lot of stuff that you could do to help get on that new front page. And if you've got that superpower, you're going to be a powerful, person in your career.
Well, it's so fascinating because so we work on marketing effectiveness and what marketing activities drive the best value for the client and in their sales. Generally, it's sales, but usually it's sales first and then brand second. Brand is still important, of course. And what we found is that PR is usually dollar for dollar significantly more effective as an investment to drive sales than paid media is, and so that's where from what you're talking about, it shows how important PR is, and your advice is definitely well taken to be able to really drive the business, or even as an up and coming new marketer to experiment with it to drive some capability that you can prove and show to your potential hirer that you really know how to drive the business forward.
I just think that we're entering in a time where PR is going to be more important. And what I mean by that, it's going to be so easy to launch products and build brands and like create a company. It's going to be harder than ever to get customers and get visibility for those new products with customers who could potentially use them. And so that's when PR and the demand for PR starts to enter. Because if there's more products on the market and customers are generally fatigued about learning about all these new products and hearing about these pitches, then how do you ultimately drive adoption? And so I think it comes down to positioning and the story that you've got, and PR is great at that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in PR, yeah, one of the things about the AI search engines when do an AI search is that they are they're weighting higher the credibility of one source versus another. And PR, having articles in PR is one way to increase your credibility. because it's not only you saying something about how great you are, but it's having somebody else say how great, you are at doing something. And that credibility then will upweight your results, and therefore hopefully you'll have a better chance then of appearing in the search results from the AI engines.
Yeah, totally. And it's just like that's what PR is. It's making sure that you have a consistent message. And so, back to that question of if you're just entering into your career or if you're 20, 30 years into it, like your job is to market to AI. Like make sure that the LLMs have the right messaging because if they don't know what the right message is, they'll create their own message about your brand. And so it's your responsibility to make sure that the brand communications are accurate, they're consistent, and they're cited, in relevant and authoritative publications.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Brett, this has been perfect, really informative, and I think you're right. PR is maybe the way to help differentiate when it's so easy to come up with a new product. This is the way to get you to stand out in PR because of the credibility it provides, and then because you can then, appear hopefully better in the AI engines. That's a big deal. But thank you so much today for being on the podcast. So, where can folks learn more about you and your company?
Yeah, so you could go to feature.com and test out the Copilot for PR. You could sign up for HARO at helpreporter.com, and you could also check out HARO on a platform at connectively.us, and I'm on LinkedIn if you want to connect.
Fantastic. Well, Brett, really appreciate it. That's perfect. And so for the audience, definitely stay tuned for many other videos in this series of the backstory on marketing and AI. And definitely go to marketingmachine.prorelevant.com. My book, The AI Marketing Machine, is about to come out. June 16th is the date, and you can download today the first chapter of that book and some other valuable excerpts. Brett, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on and good luck with the book launch.
Thank you.